A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to the news live on Channel I. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
And I'm Thilino Derapna. First, let's take a look at tonight's top stories.
We now move on to those and other stories in detail. The present government strengthens the greatness of the country's proud history. The statement was made by President Maithripala Sirisena, adding the government was built an exemplary nation with the support of people who are willing to contribute irrespective of criticism. The President was addressing the function organized to mark the commencement of the reconstruction project of the left bank of the Minipe Canal. The project falls under the program of renovating age-old irrigation ways with modern technology. Extension of the left bank Anicut by 3.5 meters and renovation of the 74-kilometer stretch of the left bank will come under the project. The estimated cost of the project is 2.6 billion rupees. The project, which is scheduled to be completed in 4 years, will supply water for 7,500 hectares of farmland, with over 15,000 families benefiting from the measure. The President launched the project adjacent to the left bank of the Minipe Canal at the Hasalaka town. A sapling was also planted resembling the commencement of the renovation work. Addressing the function, the President said the farmer should be championed in a bid to build a strong economy. He said the cadres who criticize the government are rebels without a cause. He made evident a year has passed since the general election and it is the responsibility of all to rally behind a new government to develop the country. The President said various accusations are levelled at the government, including the division of the country, downgrading Buddhism through the constitution and betraying the country to foreign nations. The President called on those cadres to back up their accusations with proof. විවේචනය කරපුවාවේ මේ රටේ නිදහස හා ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ විදිහේ භුක්ති විඳපුවාවේ තමුන්නාන්සලා අපි සියලු දෙනාම වැඩ කරමු රට හදමු රට ගොඩනගමු කියලායි මම තමුන්නාන්සලාගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ. ඒ අතරට අපිට කියනවා අපි රට කඩනවායි කියලායි. ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ බුද්ධාගමට තියෙන තැන අහිමි කරනවායි කියලා හිතා. ඉන්දියාවට ඇමරිකාවට රට පාවා දෙනවායි කියලා කියනවා. උතුරේ හමුදා ඉවත් කරනවායි කියනවා. බුදු පිළිම හදන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියනවා. මේ කියන ඕනෑම කෙනෙකුට මම ආරාධනා කරනවා බොහොම කරුණාවෙන් ඇවිල්ලා මාව හම්බෙන්න ඒ කියන දේවල් කොහෙද සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ කියලා මට පෙන්වන්නයි කියලායි. මේ රටේ වසර දහස් ගානක ඉතිහාස කතාවේ තිබූ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨත්වය සහ විශිෂ්ටත්වය අපි වර්තමාන අපේ ආණ්ඩුව තුල තව තවත් ශක්තිමත් කිරීම ප්‍රබාප් කිරීම ඒ තුල මේ රට ගොඩනගලා ලෝකේ ශක්ති සම්පන්න ප්‍රබුද්ධ ආදර්ශමත් විශිෂ්ට රාජ්‍යයක් බවට පත් කිරීමේ වගකීමයි අපි ආණ්ඩුවක් විදියට කරගෙන යන්නේ. The farming community of Minipe also handed a special epistle to the President. As requested in the epistle, the President said a special program will be put in place to provide deeds to the farming community in Minipe. Masses, including ministers, took part in the event.
If the opportunity to become the legislature of global economic laws could be obtained, Asia has the capacity to surpass the European Union's. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe made this remark, adding it is imperative given the European economic crisis, casting doubt over the mechanism adopted in Europe. He was delivering the keynote speech at the India Economic Summit 2016 today in New Delhi.
The program will be accompanied by measures to restructure the economy, which includes exchange rate flexibility and trade liberalization, to make Sri Lanka a platform for value addition. We are also liberalizing the tariff and the non-tariff barriers that have denied our enterprises the opportunity of getting access to the latest technology and know-how and deprived our consumers of the best quality of goods and services. We are also taking measures to see a rapid improvement of the ease of doing business by the early part of 2018. Maximizing on these factors will transform Sri Lanka into a geo-economic center of South Asia, dynamically and synergically engaged with the rest of the region. A key thrust is our trade policy. Small domestic markets are insufficient to sustain growth. Therefore, a shift to greater export orientation is required to achieve a growth of 8%. Hence, our trade policies will focus on gaining access to these markets. We are cognizant that the economic asymmetry between Sri Lanka and India is going to increase in the future when the latter emerges as a major global player in an increasingly multipolar world. The India-Sri Lanka FTA between the two countries will be further expanded and deepened to go beyond trading goods to cover trade in services, investments and technology cooperation.
Meanwhile, the Indian President Pranab Mukherjee says India will extend its fullest support for Sri Lanka. During his audience with the visiting Sri Lankan Prime Minister at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, New Delhi yesterday, the Indian head of state appreciated Sri Lanka's candid outlook on India. He also said Sri Lanka is a long-term ally of India. Meanwhile, the Indian Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Dharmendra Pradhan, says obstacles faced by foreign investors in the recent past when investing in Sri Lanka is in the process of being dissipated. He made the statement during his audience with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in New Delhi. The discussion also focused attention on the pipe gas system adopted by other countries in domestic gas consumption. The Premier had discussions with the Home Minister of India, Rajnath Singh, in New Delhi. The discussions were centered on zonal terrorism, human smuggling, narcotics transportation, oceanic and cybersecurity. It was decided to establish a united committee to combat drug racketeering networks. Making immigration and emigration laws more systematic and obtaining relevant intelligence were also touched upon. Visiting Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also called on the Indian Minister of Road, Transport, Highways and Shipping, Nitin Gadkari. During the discussion, the Prime Minister revealed plans to build a 4-lane main road network from Jaffna to Manna, Manna to Colombo via Kurunegala and Manna to Trincomalee via Vaunia. Indian Minister of Transport pledged his full support to the endeavour.
In the meantime, the construction work under the second phase of the Central Expressway was launched today under the patronage of Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla at the Boyavalana Junction, Kiriyalla, Kurunegala. The construction work was launched amidst blessings of the Mahasangha and with the cooperation of the locals. State Minister Dilan Pereira also joined the occasion. A distance of 37.9 kilometers from Kadawatha to Mirigama will be built during the first stage of the second phase. The second stage will see a distance of 39.7 kilometers being built from Mirigama to Kurunegala. An access road of 9.7 kilometers extending to Ambepusa is also included. The construction of the third stage will include the stretch from Potuhara, Kurunegala to Galagedara, covering a distance of 32.5 kilometers. The fourth stage is due to be built from Kurunegala to Dambulla. Addressing the function, Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla said the aim is the expeditious completion of the project.
Meanwhile, the 2017 appropriation draft will be tabled in Parliament on the 20th. The decision was taken at the party leaders' meeting today. Accordingly, the budget speech and the second reading of the budget will fall on the 10th of November. The Deputy Chief Government Whip, Deputy Minister Ajit P. Pereira said the budget debate will continue for a month from the 10th of November. The budget vote will be held in the evening of the 10th of December.
We just have some breaking news for you on the UN Security Council. The UN Security Council has unanimously nominated former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Guterres to be the next Secretary General. The UN General Assembly is expected to meet next week to approve his appointment. The 67-year-old, who led the UN Refugee Agency for 10 years, will take over from Ban Ki-moon early next year. Ban Ki-moon described Guterres as a superb choice to succeed him in his role. He added that his experience as Portuguese Prime Minister, his wide knowledge of world affairs and his lively intellect will serve him well in leading the UN in a crucial period. Guterres' nomination was formally agreed by all 15 Council members during a closed-door meeting today.
And Iraq. During that time,
The 16th edition of the World Export Development Forum is to be held in Colombo on the 12th and 13th of this month. State Minister Sujiva Senasinghe says a significant number of international trade and business leaders are scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka for the summit. The chairperson and the CEO of EDB, Indira Malwatha, briefed the journalists on the importance of hosting the summit in Sri Lanka.
One of the main reasons why we thought it was very important for our country, because we are at a stage, we are looking at the growth momentum of our country. And the SME sector especially is of vital importance to our economy, because if you look at the number of large exporters, they are very limited, and who could service these exporters and become new exporters are the SME sectors. Because if you see internationally, there are major trade blocs that have come, and we have to learn to deal with the major trade blocs. Those issues are something that all our exporters plus the other international community who is coming to Sri Lanka will have to face.
Our concentration would be on the exporters. So the exporters would be encouraged, and our future is exports. So everything would be lined with the exporters.
Japan has decided to provide monetary aid to two organizations involved in the demining process in the north. The relevant agreement was signed at the Japanese embassy today. The agreement was signed by Delvon Assistance for Social Harmony, Skavita Humanitarian Assistance and Relief Project, and the Ambassador of Japan, Kenichi Suganuma. The total sum provided is approximately 84 million rupees. They say the project will enable the people in the north to go about their daily lives without fear.
As you know, and as we have heard from Dash and Sharp, there are still a lot to do in the humanitarian demining area. The rehabilitation of the war-affected area of Sri Lanka has been one of our priority target for cooperation to Sri Lanka. And demining is one of the most important pillars for the rehabilitation of the area, since without demining you cannot utilize whatever land that is there.
The people inconvenienced due to drought will be provided water free of charge. The Minister of Disaster Management, Rupavahini, made the revelation in Parliament today, adding a sum of over 18 million rupees has been allocated to provide relief to stricken people in 16 districts. The Department of Meteorology says the prevalent dry weather conditions will clear up sometime mid-month, and the delay of the second monsoon is the cause of the drought. The high winds generated within the Pacific zone is causing the delay. The public in certain areas are experiencing severe strife due to the prevalent dry weather conditions, with the drinking water being the prominent issue. 22,000 families in 10 divisional secretariats of the Munaragala district are inconvenienced by the issue. The district secretariat is providing them with drinking water. Similar problems are faced by the public in the Valimada electorate. They are having to commute great distances to fulfill their water requirements due to water sources being dried up. The stricken public request the authorities to provide water by way of bowsers. Minister Rupavahini today elaborated on the solutions to resolve the issues arisen by the dry weather conditions in Parliament. Minister Rupavahini requested the public to be frugal in water consumption. He said bowsers from district and divisional secretariats and state institutions will be utilized to distribute water in areas experiencing drought. He revealed a sum of 18.1 million rupees has been released to provide relief, while more funds could be released. The minister said measures have been taken to purchase water tanks of 1,000 litre and 500 litre capacity to be distributed across stricken areas. He expressed hope of implementing a sustainable program. He also said the government has been informed of the need to take various decisions based on the prevalent dry weather conditions.
ගන්න ඕන තීන්දුව ගණනාවක් අපි ගත යුතුයි කියන එක අපි රජයට වාර්තා කරලා තියෙනවා.
Animals are also seen suffering due to the drought experiencing in the southern province, including Block 3 of the Yala National Park and surrounding areas. Locals say animals peregrinate to the Manik Ganga, Kataragama, in search of water while poachers poison the water.
Schools of fish are reportedly discovered dead in the seas adjacent to the Kinya Bridge in Trincomalee. Local fishermen say this is a phenomena which occurs annually during this time of the year. They say the fish in question belong to the Salaya variety. Our correspondent said the situation has led to an odious environment.
Estate workers across the country staged protests for the 12th day today, demanding a daily wage of 1,000 rupees. Over 3,000 estate workers staged protests at the Avisavala city centre today, causing a severe traffic congestion along the Ratnapura-Colombo main road. The road from Avisavala to Colombo and Kandy also experienced congestion. Protests were also held in Hatton, Kottagala and Norwood. They demanded areas to be paid and they be informed of the increased wage. Workers of 12 estates in Navala worked off their protests at the Mary Villa Junction, blocking the Gampala and Navala main roads. They staged a march from Galamudanawatta to arrive at the location. An unruly situation arose centering an incident of an alleged threat made to the estate workers, demanding the protests be halted. A tea factory sustained damages from their attack. The situation was brought under control with the intervention of the police. Meanwhile, the decision has been arrived at to increase the daily wage of estate workers to 730 rupees during a discussion between the government and the Estate Owners Association. The agreed wage is applicable to 6 days of the week, whilst the Estate Owners Association has agreed to pay an allowance of 35 rupees per kilo of tea on the 7th day. The relevant agreement will be signed on the 13th. Janaka Kanchana Mudanayaka of the Port Authority set a new Guinness record today. He achieved the feat by bending 18 steel rods with his mouth. The steel rods were 4 feet in length with the circumference of 12 millimeters. The record was previously owned by Russian national Alexander. Janaka from Hagurankata is the son of Gamini Vasantakumara, who holds 8 Guinness records. Previously, he set the world record for the world's strongest arm by having 32 vans with a weight of 1.5 tons drive over his right arm. Representatives from the Guinness Committee and officials from the Ministry of Sports observed the feat. Minister Arjuna Ranatunga and Deputy Minister Nishantha Muthettigama also were present.
And now for a look around Asia in 1 minute.
Security forces killed 2 militants who attacked an army camp in Handwara district of Indian Kashmir. A suicide bomber targets a workers' bus in Kabul, Afghanistan, wounding at least 6 people. Typhoon Shaba battered southern parts of South Korea yesterday with violent winds and heavy rains, leaving at least 5 people dead. World powers have raised more than $15 billion to fund Afghanistan over the next 4 years. Amazing Art Festival with light and water production held in the middle of Seoul, South Korea yesterday. This festival is created by French theatre company Cahabos. some 1,700 flames have turned Shankichang into a captivating stage for fire, water and music displays.
Welcome back, and we continue with news here at home. The foundation stone of the Resource Centre being built in affiliation to the Ikra Primary School, Hambantata, was laid today under the patronage of Minister Sajith Premadasa. This is another measure under the concept Lanka Mapasala Hunda Mapasala, or nearest school is the best school. The two-storied building consists of 4 classrooms, an activity room and a teacher's restroom. The total expenditure of the project is 22.6 million rupees. Addressing the function, Minister Sajith Premadasa said despite criticism from various quarters, the government has made huge strides in the development sector. He noted although schools were closed down under the previous regime, the present government allocated a higher percentage from the GDP for the education sector. In the meantime, Speaker of the National Council of the Federal Assembly of Switzerland, Christa Markwalter, arrived in the country for a 5-day official visit last night. Accompanying her is the Secretary General of the Swiss Parliament, Philippe Schwab. The Swiss speaker was welcomed at the airport by the ambassador of Switzerland and a group of representatives of the Sri Lankan Parliament. The objective of the visit is to consolidate the friendship between the nations. The Speaker of Switzerland is due to hold discussions with President Maithripala Sirisena, Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and the leader of the opposition R. Sambandhan. She also expects to tour the Botanical Gardens, Kandy and the Pinnabala Elephant Orphanage.
Taking a look at the stock update for tonight, the All Shares Price Index closed 6,566.96 points, dropped by 12.82 points, and the S&P SL20 Index closed at 3,646.13 points, also increased by 2.55 points at the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today. Turnover was over 468 million rupees. Here's a summary of market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange today.
That's it on local news. We'll be back with news overseas. And on news overseas, we take a look at news from around the world in brief. Militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab says it was behind the attack which killed at least 6 people and wounded 1 in northeastern Kenya. The militants threw a grenade before opening fire in a residential area in Mandera town, police said. Mandera County Governor Ali Roba confirmed the casualties, adding that security guards had saved 27 people. Hordes of Colombian students marched on downtown Bogota yesterday to call for peace with the FARC after a deal to end violence with the rebels plundered in a recent election. The students, dressed in white, held candles and held both white flags and the Colombian flag at the rally. Iran's powerful revolutionary guards warned Saudi naval vessels taking part in military exercises in the Gulf yesterday not to get close to Iranian waters.
Welcome back, and it's time for sports. Today is the third day of the 4-day match between the touring West Indies A team and the Sri Lankan A team. The match is played at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. West Indies A ended the day on 165 for the loss of 9 wickets in their second innings. Vishal Singh top scored with 46. Lakshan Sadakan was the pick of the bowlers for Sri Lanka with 3 wickets. The West Indies trailed Sri Lanka's first innings total by 55 runs. Tomorrow is the last day of the match. South Africa recorded a sensational victory against Australia in their third one-day international. Batting first, the touring Australian team scored 371 for the loss of 6 wickets in 50 overs. David Warner top-scored with 117, while captain Stephen Smith posted 108. Dale Steyn and Imran Tahir shared 2 wickets each. Chasing a victory target of 372, the Proteas won the match with 4 wickets in hand. David Miller's innings of 118 not out won him the Man of the Match award. With this victory, South Africa lead the 5-match series 3-0.
They incredibly chased down 371.
Meanwhile, Pakistan won the one-day series versus the West Indies yesterday with victory in the third one-day international. They won the match by 136 runs. Batting first, Pakistan amassed 308 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Babar Azam top-scored with 117. He has now recorded consecutive centuries in his last 3 one-days. The record of posting 4 consecutive one-day centuries is held by Kumar Sangakkara. Chasing a victory target of 309, West Indies could only muster 172. Babar Azam was adjudged the man of the match as well as the player of the tournament.
Organizers of new racing leagues for drone enthusiasts hope new formats and technology will attract large audiences for their fledgling sport and make it profitable as well. Some 150 pilots competed at the U.S. National Drone Championships in New York in August, and on October 17th, the first World Drone Championships will begin in Hawaii. Drone racing is a sport that combines the physical and the virtual. By wearing special goggles, racers see the coast through the drone's camera.
A 34-year-old British man completed his 401st marathon in 401 days yesterday to raise awareness of anti-bullying charities. Ben Smith, who was bullied for years at school because he is gay, visited over 100 schools and raised £250,000 for anti-bullying charities Stonewall and Kidscape. Smith started and finished his final marathon in his hometown of Bristol, where he crossed the finish line surrounded by school children who joined him for the last part of his run. Along the way, 9,000 people joined him on his 16,908-kilometer journey, during which he took one 10-day break. After developing an umbilical hernia, Smith made up for the break by covering extra miles when he restarted.
And before we wind up, a quick look at the weather. The Met Department says that fairly strong winds at times are expected over the island. Mainly fair weather condition will prevail over most parts of the island. However, thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Ubud province and Batticaloa district after 2 p.m. Here's the weather forecast for the next 36 hours.
And that's it from the news desk for tonight. Do join us once again tomorrow for the very latest. Until then, good night.
Good night.